All right, so we have David Pagel and Rebekah Smeltzer here, both former UT undergrad, and David was also did the grad program here. So we're just going to talk to him a little about, well, tell us what you're doing now. Whoever wants to go first.
You're looking at me, so I guess my turn. Alright, well, I actually, after I went to UT, I graduated in '07 and went immediately to a master's program in voice at Texas State University in San Marcos. But now I've finished that and I'm living in Austin, Texas, and teaching voice lessons and doing auditions for opera programs across the country. So.
And I graduated with my bachelor's at UT in '08, then finished my master's program there in 2010, and since then I have been working on my doctorate at the University of Miami down in Florida, and just been working with their academic tutoring centers down there and performing in some touring ensembles and that sort of stuff.
Very cool. Because I'm going to start with Rebekah. Let's see, you graduated what year from here? '07. And who did you study with when you were here?
I studied with Andrew Scoop.
Andrew Scoop, cool. And he is the tenor? He's the tenor in the voice department. What were some, if you can remember some things that you that really drew you to wanting to study with Skoog, and was he like your first choice? I mean, he'd be, if Miss Stevens wasn't there, he'd probably be my first choice as well.
Well, actually, it's kind of funny. My first year at UT was also Skoog's first year at UT.
Oh.
So we actually started together, and I think that ended up being part of the reason why I ended up in his studio, because, well, he needed a studio. But it ended up turning out perfectly because it really was probably the best match that I could have had with a teacher. Because he's very good with the technical things, and I had a lot of technique issues I was working out. I actually started out college pretty much singing entirely straight tone, no vibrato at all. Just didn't think I had one. So
if only we all had that problem.
So there was a big learning curve, and Scoop was really good to push me and get me working, but still in a way that was very supportive and very encouraging, and that made me want to work and want to figure out things about my voice and get better. And so it was a really great teacher-student relationship.
That's great. What were some things that drew you to UT that made you want to come to UT?
Well, I grew up in Knoxville, and initially my thinking was, I don't want to go to UT. I'm not going to go. That's, I want to get out. And I did look at some other places, but after visiting those programs, and I went and did, a day and went into classes, and then actually my mom was like, well, you've done that other schools, so go to UT. We're going to, contact some professors, see if you can sit in on some classes. And I did, and I sat in on a theory class. I sat in on concert choir with Dr. Beatty and saw, especially how she ran rehearsals and how, people were in school and the level of the programs. And then I went to a couple of the opera productions and realized, wow, this is a good program. They actually,
So a little bit about the opera program, because it has gone and done some serious changing over the past year with, of course, Carol leaving and everything. But when you were here, you worked with Carol, of course. What were some things that you really liked about specifically the opera program? Because our opera program is a little different here at UT than it is at some other schools, partially because there's a grad program, a studio program that works in relation with Knoxville Opera. Did you get to experience any of that working with Knox Opera, or getting a chance to, how was that, whole experience working with just the opera program here?
It was actually really great. I did have a couple of chances to sing with Knoxville Opera, one of them being my very first semester at UT. Knoxville Opera did a production of Turandot, which is very big opera, if you're not familiar with it. Huge chorus, so much music, and here I was, little 18-year-old singing with the chorus of Knoxville Opera, but it was great because I got to do that, and also got to work with a lot of the grad students from UT because they were in that production. And then that same semester I was in the chorus for Susanna, which was UT's production. So a month we do Turandot. A month later, I'm doing another show with some of these people, and it really gave me a chance to develop good relationships and friendships with those students which helped out because in the spring we did Barber of Seville and, well, no women's chorus, so I was actually the stage manager
See,
for that production.
that's awesome.
And Carol was really good about giving me a lot of opportunities to do things both on stage and off, and so I really learned a lot about the entire opera world and not just, oh, here's how you go on stage and perform, which I did, I did do a lot of that, and I did sing in a lot of the productions, but I also learned about how to do props, how to do stage makeup, how to do, how to call a show when you're the stage manager. So a lot of it was kind of trial by fire, but I had, some great people there helping both with Carol and with some of the other, crew and folks that are still in town and still working with the program.
So for somebody who is wanting to come in as an undergrad and study specifically voice and specifically opera, which of course it's coming to UT and being a voice major, you either do one of two things. You're either studying music education or you're studying classical music. Would you recommend the voice program, for somebody who's looking for an undergrad to be kind of a good preparation if they want to continue on to grad school and even further on?
I definitely would. I learned so much in my classes, and something that I really loved about UT is the amount of education you can get. Like, for here, you have an entire year as a performance major of vocal pedagogy and of song literature. And those were things that even in my grad program that I did, they actually didn't always cover things sometimes as well as they had at UT. So I really feel like I got a great education, and the fact that it is, it's not some giant, it's a good-sized program, so you get a lot of opportunities and you get to do things, but it's not so big that you get lost.
I think this was really great. It's kind of, you kind of become like your own little family in a way. Dysfunctional. And sometimes, well, it's true. Well, thanks, Becca. It's really good because, you had the whole voice thing. Now, David, you did music ed, right? Or did you do theory comp?
I actually did theory composition. I focused on theory in my undergrad, and I focused on composition for my master's. So, and also did a certification in theory pedagogy during my master's, so that I basically, end result being that I could become a theory professor once I graduate.
Did you, when you were an undergrad, do you feel like you really got a good foundation and understanding from your instructors, from your teachers here, about that accurately prepared you, though you went to the same, university for your grad, that accurately prepared you for a grad program? Because
absolutely, yeah. That was actually, that was one of the reasons why I decided to stay here for my master's, was because I was getting so much good feedback in regards to teaching music theory and teaching composition that I felt like it would be good for me to keep that education at the master's level as well, because I could learn even more from my professors. And that actually prepped me perfectly for my doctorate when I went on to UM, because I actually entered with a stronger understanding of how to teach music theory than any of my colleagues.
So that's really great. That's really served you well.
It has served me extremely well.
Let me ask you specifically, because you and I were both in chamber singers together.
Yes.
And so we got to have a year of awesome chamberness together with the Beatty.
Of course.
How do you feel about the choral program here at UT? Did that... What were things about it that you really, really enjoyed?
Oh, wow. Well, I should probably start with the obvious. The director of the choral studies program, Dr. Angie Beatty, is one of the most incredible women that you will ever meet. And
Did you take conducting? Either of you take conducting from her?
I actually took an independent study from Dr. Beatty for a semester in conducting, which was the most intense class I've ever taken in my entire life. But I learned so much, and it's really refreshing seeing a professor that not only is as knowledgeable as she is, but is also as caring as she is, because there is not a single student who goes through her program that she doesn't care about and doesn't want to help out immensely. Mm-hmm.
So you can accurately say that not only Dr. Beatty, but I know that, with some other teachers, they can be very, very personally invested in their students, especially if you're working with them, especially with the voice teachers. They personally invest in each of their students, and I'm sure you felt that with Skoog, and I know I felt that with Miss Stevens. Like, she invests so much time and stuff, and none of them they all want what's best for you. I think